Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to everybody that is already in the chat. How are you guys? This is Farmish Chat and Coffee number 3. It's Friday, March 25th, unless you're listening to this as the audio replay, in which case it's Saturday, March 26th. So you're not confused about the day. So this is fun. We get together every Friday morning on YouTube, Float, and Facebook, and we have a little chat at 8 a.m. Central, lasts till about 9 a.m. Central. So if you are not here right now, you're listening to this on a replay and you want to join us, make sure you keep your Friday morning open so we can have a little coffee together. Speaking of that, my coffee cup today says, "Dear coffee, I love you. That's all." Now, I don't know if that's all I wanna say, or that's all that I love. I'm not sure. What do you think that cup means? I don't know. I have to, I'm losing my voice, y'all, so I'm probably gonna do a lot of sipping during this particular episode because 'cause I'm losing my voice. It's that time of year, and I've also been doing a lot of live streaming and a lot of recording lately, a lot of interviews, and so I'm gonna have to get some tips about how to, keep my voice going. I'm gonna have to reach back to my choir days. Shout out to any choir nerds that we have in the chat. Were any of you choir nerds in school? I was definitely a choir nerd. I was a speech nerd. I was a theater nerd. I was doing all those things. So, Homestead Journey says, "Crap, I forgot to get my coffee. Please hold." That is very important. You gotta bring your coffee to these chats. Bring a donut if you need it. Bring your eggs and bacon, whatever you need. What did I have for breakfast this morning? I had berries. I had some blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, frozen, and I thawed them just a little bit, and I poured a little heavy whipping cream over them. So that was my breakfast this morning. I've learned that I need to eat quite a bit before I do these live streams because otherwise I spend my whole time clearing my throat. So, yeah. Oh, we've got a coffee tip here. Anarchy says, "Loves my coffee. Does anyone put a dash of salt in it like me?" Now, normally I would say that I think that's weird, but I did mention probably 2 times ago in this chat that I like to put butter in my coffee, and I have figured out that the butter in the coffee, because we buy salted butter, makes it a little bit salty, so I actually like that. So I totally get it. I've never thought of just shaking a little salt in my coffee. Maybe I'll have to try that if I'm out of butter or I'm somewhere that I can't get to butter or whatever. I don't know. Butter is life. Butter is life, y'all. Got a lot of people in the chat. Hello, everybody. Oh, yeah, and Corey just pointing it out. Like, it's pretty obvious my hair color changed, right? So I have this blue. We decided to go with this dark blue that kind of fades down into a teal. If you're not looking at it, that's what we're doing. And yeah, so that's what we decided to do. It's wild. If you've never done a crazy color on your hair, um, if you're watching on the live stream, can you see my fingernails? They are blue. That is not because I painted them blue. That's because I have blue hair. So, I'll run my fingers through my hair and then some of the dye comes off. I have not washed this yet since I got it done. I got it done, what was it, 2 days ago? On Wednesday. So, we're still this is the original color. Every time you wash it, a little bit's gonna come out. Wash it in cold water, it will last a little bit longer, but yeah, the other thing is that when I sleep kinda snuggled up in a ball, and so I sleep on my arm, so I wake up and I will have, like, blue right here. It's transferring all over. I'm sure my pillowcase looks awesome. I never even thought of that, but yeah, so we got the blue going on, so that is fun. What else? I don't Stacy, you said, "Do it." Were you my friend who just did the teal in your hair? I think that was you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, yes, and here we go. See, all the things that I was gonna talk about that I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna talk about." That's why I make notes. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, "Hey, nice shirt." So I gotta show you my shirt. It says Two Chicks Homestead and School, Hinckley, Illinois, with two little baby chicks on it. So that is the shirt I'm wearing today. Thank you, Nate and Aaron, for sending that to me. Loved getting that package in the mail. There was a lot of goodies in there, so that was fun. I also got a package from Letty from Liberty All Day. She sent me a super sweet package. Surprise. Totally didn't even know I was getting it. So super, super fun. There was some, I would show you, but I can't reach them right now. Some writing gloves, so they're fingerless gloves and they have like script from Little House on the Prairie books. So I have that. And then some like a soap that is in the shape of a pig, and some fun stuff like that. So that was a cool little package. Getting all the packages, those are fun. It's always fun to get something fun in the mail, right? Yes. So the weather here today, I actually had to turn on a light for this live stream because it literally looks outside like we're going to get a thunderstorm. Thunderstorm, y'all. It is March in Minnesota. We don't get thunderstorms in Minnesota in March. This is not a thing, but it really looks like it could thunderstorm. It's very, very windy here today. They're talking 55-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So that's going to be exciting to see if we bring down any branches or anything, because the ground is super wet right now. So I think it's still frozen enough. We're going to be okay. But the top part is getting pretty mushy. So we'll see what happens with all this wind. But yes, Nate Lemaster, who also sent me this shirt, says a new war rooster for the farm too. Yes, I should have kept that close to me so I could have grabbed it and showed everybody the beautiful rooster that you sent me. So the weather here has been crazy. We had super crazy amounts of slush a few days ago. Like everything had melted from the farm. And you know that you're still going to get snow because it's only March, right? But we got the weirdest precipitation. It was seriously like balls of slush falling from the sky. It wasn't snow, it wasn't sleet, it wasn't rain. It was like balls of slush falling from the sky. And we got a ton of slush and obviously collected on the ground. And the roads were horrible that night. And my delightful youngest son was at a new band practice where he's going to be the guitarist. And so he was very far, well, not very far, but probably 45 minutes from our house, and was coming home and all of this. And it was not fun, but he made it home. So that's cool. That's cool. It's good. And yeah, so we had the slush on Tuesday that didn't last very long. And now it's all melting again. And we've got wind, and today they're talking wind, rain, sun, snow, all the things. Do you ever think like they look at the weather and they say, I don't know, what should we say today? Because I don't know how it can be all those things today. I don't know. I don't know. It is definitely mud season here, though. Anarchy says, lots of mud down here in Sibley County, Minnesota. Yay for clay soil. Absolutely. We have the same exact thing here. A couple days ago, it was so muddy in our driveway that we were thinking we were going to get stuck. If there were certain parts of the driveway, we would get stuck if we went in. So it's crazy. What else? Kindlin, is that how you pronounce your name? Asks, do you get hail in the US? Absolutely. Yeah, we had a really bad hailstorm here last summer that completely made salsa out of our entire garden. Did a lot of damage to our cars. We had probably 4 miles away from us. They actually had baseball size hail, which was slightly bigger than what we had here. And yeah, they were losing windows and losing siding and all sorts of crazy stuff. So yeah, hail is a thing here. Usually it's just the little stuff that lasts for like 10 seconds, but sometimes it comes, it's crazy. It's crazy. Gretchen Smith, your hair, love it. Thank you. Thank you. Good fun. Homestead Journey says, not only is it mud season here, but yesterday I was filling the pig waterers and forgot that the hose was one and simply added to the mud. Supersize mud season. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's, man, every time I have to dump out water from something right now, I'm like, where do I pour it? Because I'm just adding, I have to like clean out this waterer because it's all nasty from the ducks. And then where do I pour it? I'm just adding to the mess. I don't know, you guys. I don't know how to deal with that. So what else? I had, Kindlin says, now I feel silly. I thought that might have been the slush balls. Nope, hail like is frozen, hard stuff falls from these slush balls. Like it was crazy. We looked out in the puddles because our ditch was so full of water from the snowmelt that it was almost going across our road. And so we're watching this stuff come down from the sky, and it looks like someone's throwing big rocks. Big rocks. Like, it's not rain. It's not, it was the weirdest stuff. It was crazy. You just never know what you're going to get here. You never know. So this morning, my dogs were all jacked up. I think because the barometric pressure is so crazy weird, doing like all the things, and they can't handle the changes. So the morning started very early. very early this morning because the dogs were just being all sorts of crazy. Do you guys have that with your dogs or your animals or maybe little kids? I used to be a preschool teacher before I got married, and man, you could tell when the weather was coming because those kids would just get so riled up, and you would have this classroom full of kids, and they were just, just get so crazy. And yeah, so I don't have little kids anymore, but I have dogs, so they tell me when the storms are coming. So maybe as I'm talking through this, maybe we are going to get a thunderstorm because those dogs were nuts this morning. What else is going on the homestead? Oh, Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says maybe that's why my 5-year-old was up earlier than usual this morning. Maybe. We just got to pay attention to the animals and the kids, and they'll tell us what is going on. Let's see. Anarchy says, could you use the duck water directly into hydro, or would it have to go through some filtration process first? Yeah, the stuff in the hydroponic system is very clean, and it's very like the stuff I'm pouring out of the duck stuff is not clean at all. It's like their feed, because they eat and then they drink and they've still got feed in their mouth, and it's yucky water. And the water that we're using for the hydro has nutrients that are added to it, and we don't want anything nasty in the water, so it's a bummer that we can't reuse it. We just have to make it add to the mess of the farm, which the farm is such a mess right now. Oh, let's see, trying to click on stuff. Nate says, I think that slush is called grapple? Grapple? I've never heard of that before. I'm learning stuff. I love it. That's what community is for. Martinson family says, good morning. Happy Friday. I have to point out, speaking of the hydroponic system and also Nate, and community and helping people out, I was posting pictures on social media the other day about where we are along in the system. And, we got the totes set up and they're all painted black, and we cut the holes in the lids and we put the cups in, and then we transplanted the seedlings. And my friend Nate, he looked at it all and he said, it looks really good, except you want to cover up the little bit of space that's around the seedling. You want to cover that up with the clay pebbles that you have, so no light is getting into that water, because there's just a little bit of space between that rock wool that the seedling is in and that net pot. And you don't want any light to get to that water. Otherwise, that's how algae grows. So I appreciate Nate pointing that out, so I didn't have big problems to deal with later. So it's good when we have community that knows what's going on and they can point stuff out to us. And not in a way that's like, oh my gosh, you're doing this wrong. You don't even know what you're doing. I have made it very clear that I'm punting through this hydroponics thing. I'm totally punting. I'm learning. It's all new. But that's what happens when you start something new, right? You got to punt. Chef Donna at home says, our beloved old retired soldier bomb dog who served 8 years in Afghanistan has terrible PTSD problems in a thunderstorm. Poor baby. That is so hard when dogs struggle with that. We've had dogs who are just like, oh my gosh, can't even handle thunderstorms. And it's just very, very, very stressful. And we have 3 dogs right now, and none of them are afraid of storms. So we're pretty lucky, which probably means the next dog that we have will be petrified of storms. It's funny how different dogs will deal with that. Let's see. Nate is pointing out, he says, and it helps keep the rock wool in place as well, so the plant doesn't, I'm assuming you meant to say, flop over when it grows. That's good. Yeah, I did notice that it was way more sturdy when I started putting all those. I wish I would have done it before, because that would have been a little bit easier, but I did get them in there, and yeah. So hopefully it's going to be awesome, and I will keep you guys updated on that whole thing. Adele Leach says, first time is a practice, homeschooler. Yeah. You that's where you learn. It's that first time. Well, I mean, you learn more than the first time, I suppose, because you're always learning stuff. But yeah, that first time. If you go into the first time you're doing anything, yeah, you will maybe approach it a little bit differently and not be so stressed out about the first time, realizing that it is practice, learning. All right. Anarchy says, I cover my 5-inch net pots by putting cover around the stems. Had algae bad once before learning that lesson. Yeah, the algae will get you. I've heard that. I have heard that. So we don't want to deal with that. So hopefully that does not become an issue for us. So, what else is happening on the homestead? My Muscovies are laying like crazy. Muscovy ducks are laying like crazy. And I was collecting the eggs for a while because it was still cold outside. And I thought these eggs are just going to freeze if I don't bring them in. And now I've decided to leave them because those ducks, they'll lay like 1 billion eggs and then they will decide, now it's time to sit on the eggs and make these babies, right? And so I have now stopped collecting duck eggs for a while, and we have piles. We have probably 4 nests. We have 5 hens, we have 4 nests. So I'm assuming, maybe they're just laying at each other's nests or one's not laying. I don't know. But yeah, it should be interesting. A couple nights ago, I went out there and they were all sitting on a nest. But when I come in to give them feed, they get off the nest, which is totally unlike chickens. And I've never had these ducks before. I've heard they're amazing mothers, that they will hatch out all the babies. So we'll see. I'm excited because I love little baby ducks, and I really struggle with incubating ducks. That's like the thing that I cannot incubate. Always struggle with that. So if we can figure this out, that the ducks can take care of their own babies, hatch out their own babies, it will be amazing. It will be amazing. I did water glass eggs because we're getting a ton of chicken eggs right now. So we are water glassing eggs right now. So if you don't know that, that is a way to preserve eggs long term. So you take, I think, help me in the comments if I get this wrong, it's like a quart of water and then get a tablespoon, which is like an ounce, or is it 2 tablespoons? I don't remember. Y'all look it up. Do not take my word for it because I should have written the instructions down. But anyway, so you're going to mix that up, dissolve it really, really good, and then pour it in a jar, bucket, whatever it is you're going to use. And then you're going to carefully place your very clean, fresh eggs in there. Now, you can't use store eggs because they have to be fresh, and they cannot be eggs you have washed. So if you're pulling those eggs out of the nesting box and you're like, oh, that's a dirty one, that's not one that you want to use for it, because you don't want to wash the bloom off of the egg. So put them in there, fill up your jar, and then put it in a nice, safe, dark spot. Not on your counter where it gets to 5 million degrees, obviously, but yeah, they should last. I've had people say they last 6 months. I've had people say they last a year. I've had people that are trying them even longer. When you take them out to use them, you are going to rinse them off really, really, really well, and then use them. A lot of people say they're good for scrambled eggs, for baking. There are many people who will say you're not going to be able to like crack them in a pan and make an over easy egg. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of keep track of when we put what eggs in what jar and then test them as we go to be able to tell people, because people always want to know how long it lasts. Like, have you tried it more than a year? Have you tried it? So I'm excited to figure that out. That's a new thing we are doing on the farm this year. If you listen to my podcast and you happen to check your podcast player this morning, you will know that another bonus episode went up this morning. Y'all, things are getting crazy over at the Farmish Kind of Life podcast because I'm doing all these live streams with different people, and then I upload the audio to the podcast. So there is one that went up this morning. It was a live stream that I did with Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee and John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. We did a live stream on Nicole's channel and John's channel too. I believe it went out. And they gave me the audio and said, you can put this on your podcast too if you want. So I did. So if you listen to that, we talk about a whole bunch of different stuff. We talk about dealing with jerks. We talk different stuff about business. We talk about raising and growing your own food. We talk about all the things. If you want to take a listen to that, that's great. I will tell you there is some profanity in it. Actually, there's a lot of profanity in it because with some people on live streams, we tend to get mouthy. I do have a mouth like a sailor, just so y'all know. So if you ever meet me in person, that's a thing. But I do put that warning on that particular episode. So it's similar to my Spicy Sisters episode, if you listen to that with Nicole Sauce, that I also put on the podcast. So check that out if you want to. If that's your thing, skip it if it's not your thing. But yeah, so things are getting busy. Already updated you on the hydroponics. What else? Oh, Erin says, oh yeah, she's talking about the recipe here. It is 1 ounce per quart of water for that water glassing. So 1 ounce of pickling lime per a quart of water. And something I had to remember is displacement, right? So I mix up this whole big batch of stuff, right? And then I forget that when you put the eggs in, there's going to be displacement and you're not going to need as much liquid as you thought you did. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's, mistakes. You learn stuff the first time, right? Because it's practice. All right. Yesterday, I went back to the gym. So that was fun. I used to go to the gym a lot in early 2020, and we all know what happened not long after 2020 started. So my husband and I were like, we're going to go to the gym. We're going to make this a thing. And we started like January 2nd of 2020, and we went almost daily. Almost daily. And it wasn't really about losing weight. It really wasn't about getting buff. It was more, for me, it's always about mental health because my brain is clearer when I am being physical. And there are physical things on the farm. Obviously, there's lots of work on the farm. But I have found for me, I do better with working out or having that physical stuff when I actually have to get in a car and drive 20 minutes to the gym and work out there, and that is the only thing that you're doing there, and then get in my car and come home, and then it's kind of like I'm reset, and then I continue with the day. We did for a while have a bunch of stuff in our basement, but what I found was when your workout stuff is in the basement, when it's on site, it's very easy to say, "Yep, I'm gonna go down in the basement after I get done with this other stuff that I'm doing." Or, "Yeah, I'm gonna get down in the basement, but first I gotta go take care of this thing in the barn." And we would never go work out because there was always something else to do on the farm. There was always some chore to do. There was some other thing we had to take care of, and so that's why I go to the gym. It's the exact same reason I have a deer stand on my property, right? So during season, I can go out whenever I want and I can go hunting, right? How often do I go out during season at my house to go hunting? Almost never. Do you know why? Because I think, oh, that's right. I got to do this thing. I'll get out to the stand and never do it. Do you know where I do the most hunting? I do the most hunting at our cabin that is like 5 hours north because that's what we go to the cabin for. There's no chores to take care of there. There's no, oh, I got to check online to do this thing. We're just there to go hunting and enjoy the woods and do all of that. And so, are any of the rest of you into the gym or working out or have something that you really like to do that is physical and helps your brain? Does anybody else have that thing? Because I just feel so much better when I have, like, completely depleted my muscles. It's almost like a reset for me. So, we went back to the gym yesterday. It had been a while. It had been a hot minute. We had went back for a while, kinda when things had opened up again, because obviously everything shut down for a while. And, when things opened up back again, but it was kinda like, we have to have limits on how many people are in the gym, and you have to wear a mask, and you have to do all that, and we went a few times, and we're like, "This is too much BS to deal with to go to the gym." So things are back to normal, and, I was thinking the other day, "You know what? You know what? We need to get back to this." Corey says, "Yoga is my thing." Yoga is my thing. Well, because you do it with your dogs, right? Your dogs are so helpful. All those big Saint Bernards, they're so helpful when you're trying to do trying to do yoga. Corey also says, "Used to be running, but the knees can't do it anymore." Isn't that crazy how when we get older, like, the things that used to be like, "This is my thing," they're just not your thing anymore. Just can't do them. I have never been a big runner. I do have, like, a weird heart thing. So my heart rate will get pretty high super fast. I don't have to do a lot, which is really weird that I'm talking about working out. But, when I'm running or jogging even, my heart rate will go up to like 150 or 160 with no work at all. No work at all, right? So I have to be a little bit careful about what I do, but I love to run. Like I like the feeling of that. Um, I haven't had the issues with my knees yet, but I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming because yeah, I'm not 20 anymore. Let's see. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, I keep meaning to try yoga, but I'm intimidated. Why are you intimidated? Are you intimidated by the poses or you don't think it's going to be relaxing? We actually did before we joined the gym a long time ago. We would do this workout like DVD or something. God, I can't even think of what it was, but one of the days of the week was yoga. And I remember thinking, okay, no, I don't want to do yoga because I am like the person who wants to do like kickboxing and just like, like I'm so just, I have a lot of rage. I think I just have a lot of rage. So I was like, yoga, come on now. But we tried it and it was actually one of our favorite days. It was just a totally different way to use your body, totally different than what you think it would be. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Um, Mike says walking and biking, no jogging or running for my old joints and bones. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a pedal biker. I don't like biking. I've never liked biking and I don't know why. I don't know why. Isn't that crazy how everybody has different things they like? Corey says runner's high. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's what it is. Crystal says, I used to run and I'm hoping to kind of start again this spring. Yes. I don't think it would be safe to run on my road right now because you'd probably slip and fall and really hurt yourself in the mud, but it'd be a funny video, right? Martinson family says 3 reasons to run. The liquor store is closing. You are in the army and where's the rest? Or there's a bear. So if you see me run, watch out. There you go. There you go. Erin says, I'm not stretchy. I don't have very good balance. Well, just think of it the first time as practice, right? That's what we're talking about today. The first time is practice. No, nobody will watch you, Erin. Well, maybe your kids will, but yeah, try it. If you try it, let me know how you like it. Some people don't like yoga, but yeah. Let's see. The homestead journey. I hate the gym. I did it for several years and hated every darn minute. Yeah. Some people don't like it. Crystal says it will be a bit yet up here too till I can run it all. Still too much snow. Yep. Homestead Journey says in the winter, snowboarding is my jam. Got to find something because I'm at the age where the bubble in the middle is expanding. It's so funny. So we're at the gym yesterday and, they've got mirrors everywhere, right? Because people like to watch themselves when they're, doing all their workout. And my husband kept poofing his belly out like he was pregnant. So I kept going over and rubbing his belly. It's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I got to lose this. I was like, isn't it funny how as you get older, it's funny all the things that change. You can't eat how you used to. I feel like you have to move more than you used to make it make a difference. And yet it's harder. It's more work and you have to do more work. Getting older is weird. It's weird. Jessica says, or the cows are out. That would be a reason to run. That would definitely be a reason to run. Or if the pigs are out. If the pigs are out, you better be running. Absolutely. Corey says, regarding yoga, she says you gain balance and flexibility. Yeah, that's a good point. So if you don't feel like you have good balance and you don't feel like you have good flexibility, yoga would be something to try to maybe increase that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going back to the gym tonight. I get on this kick where I'm like, okay, we're going to start, and then I want to go every single day. And I struggled with deciding to go back to the gym because, like, you've seen the price of gas, right? So really, do I want to go to the gym? Because then I have to drive there, which means I use gas, but it's also that mental health thing, and I think it makes me more productive. So, I guess we're just gonna weigh the pros and cons right now and see what happens. Yes. Homestead Journey says, "My grandfather used to say, 'Getting older sucks, but it's better than the alternative.'" Yeah, that's true. That's true. And if you all didn't listen to, this is Brian from the Homestead Journey that's in here in the chat with us, and my last interview episode, which would have been yesterday. Yes, that was Thursday. I never know what day it is, you guys. So yesterday was Thursday. So episode, I'm looking at my calendar right now, 197. Brian and I had a great, great chat about kind of the homesteading label and what that means, and how do you know when you're really a homesteader, and we talked about lots of different things. But if you have not checked out that episode, you should go check it out because it was a great chat. And if you listen to it, you will know the Michael Jordan sports analogy that he made comparing or defining certain parts about homesteading. It was legit the best comparison that I have heard yet. So go listen to that episode and listen for that. Chef Donna says, like Clint Eastwood said about working out as you get older, you do twice the work for half the results. Legit. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. It's crazy. I look at the things my kids can do, number one, the way they can eat, but also just the things they can do. And it's like, man, like you do that and boom, there's results. And I do that and I'm like, okay, I'll try it again. Okay, I'll try it again. you know, Crazy. Sonny's Place says, I work with a lot of 20-somethings, and while I envy their youth and energy, I would never want to be young, dumb, and broke again. Yeah, that's true. Because going back, man, don't you wish you could go back like with the knowledge that you have now, but go back to the energy and the zest, that you had when you were 20 or 25 or 15 or whatever? That's not the way it works. So that doesn't work. Darn it. Let's see. Jessica says, I am a creature of inertia and solar powered. Yes. Trying to get a rhythm now that I am 40. Better late than never. Trying to be not as fluffy, but I don't like exercise. So there's that. Yeah. And it's hard when you don't like exercise, or, I mean, there's lots of different things you can do, but like you have to find the thing that you like. But it's inertia, because I don't know how long I was like, we need to go back to the gym. We need to go back to the gym. I'd like to go back to the gym. But it's getting over that hump of, because especially coming out of winter, it is so easy to just sit and veg, especially when the weather is like it is now. Like it's gross here today. And it's just, you got to be able to kick yourself in the butt, or have somebody else that's willing to kick you in the butt, to get you over that hump. And that's hard. That's hard. And because my husband was saying for a while, we should go back to the gym. And I was like, nah. And then I was saying, we should go back to the gym. Nah, he wasn't, and it's like, it just lines up one time and you're like, okay, before we lose the zest, let's get our butts in the truck and let's go to the gym. And I will tell you, every single time that I come out of the gym, I can breathe better. And I don't know if that is a psychological thing or it's actually like my lungs are open or what it is, but it is so hard to get over that hump of, I got to do this thing. But once you get over that hump, it's easier to continue. But I know that's probably not what you want to hear right now, but that's my 2 cents. Sonny's Place. Girl, I think you're the only person ever to pronounce our channel name right, because everybody probably calls it Sonny's Place, right? I pay attention when people say their names in their YouTube videos, and then hopefully I remember. So that's the only reason that I don't say Sonny's, because I heard you say Sonny's and I was like, Sonny, huh? Oh, Martinson family, if I went back with what I know now, a lot of people would get kicked in the sack when I meet them. Yeah, right? Yeah. It would be interesting to go back and just, man, that could be a whole nother topic. A whole nother topic. Goodness gracious. All right, so that is the gym. What else? I'm gonna go down on my notes here, see what else. Oh, See, this is why I make notes, because I get chatting with y'all and then I'm like, oh, that's right. There was this thing I was going to tell them. So if any of you all watched last week, I guess it was this week, you guys, I never know what date it is. If you watched a live stream with Nicole Thoss from Living Free in Tennessee and Toolman Tim, if you saw that, you know, she talked about this book being the Encyclopedia of Country Living by Carla Emery. Okay. Nicole said if there was one homesteading book that she was going to keep, it would be this book, because she said this book is the book. And I was like, this is one I don't have. Now, here's a crazy thing. I thought I had this book and we lost it in the move. I decided, you know what? I should get this book again. And so I ordered it up after I heard their live stream, and it came, and I started digging into it, and I realized this is not the book that I had. This is not the book that I had, because the book that I had was like, it's kind of, and I don't remember what the book was. Obviously, I had the title wrong, but it was kind of like, it's got some stuff in it, but it was kind of overwhelming, and it was a lot to read, and I didn't really connect with it. But this book, if you do not have this book, you need to go to the Amazon or wherever you get your books from, and you need to get the Encyclopedia of Country Living. Let me through it that much, y'all. This is a huge book. Like, how many pages is it? Like 922 pages, you guys. It is everything. It is everything. It is so good. And I'm not new. I'm not new to this lifestyle, right? I've been doing this for a while, and I can't tell you the times I was flipping through this book just in the last couple of days, and I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Oh, that's why that doesn't work when I do that. So I am learning a ton of stuff from this book. So if you do not have it, I highly suggest you get it. I'm not even done looking through it, and I'm going to suggest that you get it. There are several editions out. This is the newest. This is the 50th anniversary edition. It's excellent. It is so excellent. The other book that I'm going to suggest to you all is this one, The Self-Sufficient Backyard for the Independent Homesteader by Ron and Joanna Melchior. I don't know how to pronounce their last name. But this is an excellent book, and I'm going to tell you, if you get my snail mail newsletter, I did talk about this in the very first issue. I gave a little review, but it was suggested to me, and people talk about it because there's this little sketch right here that you can see. People will pass this around as you can be self-sufficient on a 1/4 acre. That's what they talk about this book. And so people will kind of complain back and forth about whether or not you can do that, and is this accurate, and could you even do this? And I bought this book because, y'all, sometimes I look at things and I'm like, oh, that is not true, and I'm going to buy that and prove it wrong is what I'm going to do. So that is literally why I bought this book, because I think that I'm so cool that this book that's been around forever, I'm going to read it and I'm going to talk about how it's not cool. So I'm going to do this review and be like, whatever. So basically what happened when I dug into this book is I realized how absolutely inefficient I am with the land that I have. I have 5 acres here. There's, I think they talk about 3 different homesteads they lived on, and they're in zone 0. So they are colder than I am, because I am right on the border of 3B and 4A for gardening zones. And so they're talking about growing all this food and raising all these animals and being super self-sufficient and super self-reliant. And they're on this tiny little piece of land that's colder than I am. And I'm reading it and I'm like, whoa. So it was kind of a wake-up call for me. Kind of first of all, don't be so cocky, Amy. Second of all, you have a lot to learn. There's always stuff to learn. Maybe the first 10, 11 years that I've been here on the farm, it was all practice. It's all practice. The whole thing is practice. But this is a super, super awesome book. Talks about a lot of different stuff. I will say that this reads more like, this would be a book that you wouldn't be like, I want to know about this. I'm going to look it up in the index. This is more a book that I think is better to sit down and read through it. It's written a little bit more like I don't want to say a journal, but it's not, I don't, it's something you need to read. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some of this stuff on the farm this year. And it was funny because I got this book and I hold it up to my husband and I'm like, oh, they say that you can do all this stuff on a quarter acre. And I'm expecting him to be like, oh my gosh, like that's not even real. And but instead of that, he looks out at all this space we have, our 5 acres here, and he's like, we could be way more efficient with what we're doing here, Amy. And I was like, oh. So I am super excited to dig into these books more and have these people who are much smarter than me teach me how to do better and how to do more. Let's go to the comments here. Well, I'm saying that. Let's go to the comments. Aaron says, we got ours yesterday. Need to look at it when I'm done with all the other things. It will suck you in. It will suck you in. There's so much good stuff in there. Nate says, you could beat someone to death with that book. That thing is huge. It's huge. And I didn't realize it was that big. So when it came, I was like, whoa, this is a book. This is a book. Jessica says, how does it compare, or does it compare to the Reader's Digest Back to Basics? It's way, are you talking, okay, so I used to have that book, or I'd have to look in my bookshelf. Is it yellow? Is it a yellowish book? I would say that it's bigger. It's obviously way bigger. I would have to go back and read that book to know how it compares and get all the way through this book, this ginormous, almost 1,000-page book. So excited. So excited. Ravenwood Acres says, great tip. I just added both to my Amazon book list. Well, there you go. I talked to Nicole after I got my book and I said, I wonder how many people bought that book after you guys talked about it on your live stream. Because I have a lot of friends who said, I'm going to get that book. Let's see here. Aaron says, another book I got and haven't looked at yet. The Self-Sufficient Backyard, that one. Homestead Journey says, I got to bust the Encyclopedia of Country Living back out. Right now, it's being used in the stack of books we used to hold the camera for my son's piano lessons. I'm so glad that other people do that too. They have these kind of janky ways of like setting up tripods and balancing things. I do that too. I do that too. Homesteaders, we make it work, right? Aaron says, haha, my homestead books are under a lamp on a table. There we go. There we go. Oh, Sonny's Place says, oh, I need that because I know our homestead is so inefficient. We're making changes now to do just that. Isn't that crazy? See, like when we moved to the farm, it was all about getting it going. Like, and I did everything you're not supposed to do, right? Don't just jump into everything. Don't get a million things at once. And yet we did. I mean, we survived, but, and I think we assumed that everything was running super efficiently because it had been a working farm. This had been a farm where there were cows and pigs and chickens and all the things. And the buildings were where they were. And I assumed, okay, that makes sense that they're there. Let's fill them up with animals and do the thing. The problem is there were probably more efficient ways we could have set things up. There are things I would have changed. The chicken coop is in the northwest corner of our barn. It's a huge chicken coop that was inside the barn. It was part of the barn. And there's a wall of nesting boxes, like the original nesting boxes from the farm. So they're old, they're vintage, they're super cool. There's like 40 or 50 of them on this wall. And so we're like, oh, okay, that's where the chickens go. Awesome. It's already set up. And so we decided we would put the chicken run right outside of that, right? Because that makes sense. That's the chicken coop. We'll put the run right outside of it. Well, the problem is it's on the north side of the barn. So if you know anything sciencey, you know that when it snows and there's ice and you get piles and piles of snow on the north side of any building, they are the last thing to melt. And when they finally do melt, they take forever to dry up because no wind is hitting that area. No sun is hitting that area. And so it was really the stupidest place for us to make a run for our chickens. The ducks love it, but the chickens, they're not real impressed. So part of me is like, man, where would we move that to if we could move it? But yeah. Yeah. So take it. I mean, we've been here obviously we're working on our 11th year, and there are still things I would change to make it more efficient. So, and we can do that, right? We're not stuck with what we have. We can change things around. We can move gardens. We can move where perennials are. There's lots of different things we can do. So yeah, keep your eyes open on your property for different ways to do things, more efficient ways to do things. That is the main thing that I learned from that book that I bought because I was going to prove it wrong. Y'all, sometimes I'm just a snot. That's what I am. Let's see. Martinson family says that's why I contemplate bare land, not dealing with other people's mistakes like the last acreage we had. Yeah, there is something about looking at bare land and because it's right there. It's like a blank canvas. And so you can figure it out. It's so weird for me to think of looking at this property that I've been looking at every day since October. I think the first time we saw it, October of 2011. I've been looking at this constantly, right? And so to imagine it differently is difficult, because you've just been looking at it forever. Sometimes it's hard to know what else you can do. Intentional Money Minnesota says, I've seen ads for that on Facebook, but have been skeptical. I will have to check it out after your recommendation. Are you talking about the, which one? The big giant one or self-sufficient backyard? I'm guessing it's probably self-sufficient backyard. I think it's a good book. I will tell you that if you purchase it, you will be spammed with email from the company that sells it. So make sure you unsubscribe from those if you don't want to get them. Just my 2 cents there. Trying to click on this and it won't click. Jessica says you don't know what you don't know. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't know until you know it, and then you can do something about it. Sandy's Place is the first thing we did to get more efficient is build a new chicken coop and moved it closer to the garden. Now we're working on a duck house and changing the garden layout. So you got all the things going on. All the things. Yes. Kim Hicks says, this is my 21st year being an urban and rural farmer. I have 26 boxes of farm books. I never know enough. Getting ready to move again rural after a 5-year medical problem. So that is, you can have all the books and there's still stuff to learn. Yeah, and now I'm not going to be so snotty about buying books that I think I'm going to prove wrong. Like, where does that come from, y'all? Where does that come from? Crazy. All right. Yes, and Intentional Money says backyard. So yep, he was talking about the backyard book. Yeah. So check it out if you want, or I can talk about it more probably in another live stream. Or maybe I should do a podcast episode that is just my favorite homesteading books. I think I did that maybe 2 years ago already, but obviously I've collected more books along the way. So yeah. All right. We have, oh my gosh. How does the time go so fast, you guys? This is crazy. I'm trying to figure out what should we move on to. I think I'm going to save a couple of these topics for next time, but there is one more that we can do here. Comment here from Barb. She says, I swore that there was nowhere on our obstacle-filled 0.8 of an acre to have a garden. I finally looked at it from an efficiency point of view rather than traditional, and now I have plenty of room for a garden and a name for our homestead, Hidden Charm Homestead, because that charm was really hidden. That is awesome. That's awesome. That's a good way to think about it, thinking about it from an efficiency standpoint rather than traditional. Because I think sometimes we get real caught in, this is where the garden should go. This is where the chicken coop should go. This is where, because that's what it looks like in the Norman Rockwell painting or Instagram or whatever. Sometimes it doesn't need to be pretty or the way it's supposed to be. It might not be the most efficient for your setup. So I think what I'm going to move on to is just a comment on, and I'd like to know your thoughts on this. It's a comment that was made during a live stream that I was involved in. Fireside Freedom did a live stream this week about growing and raising your own food. So if you didn't catch that, watch the replay. Otherwise, find it on your podcast player. But it was mentioned in the comments. if you can't grow or raise what you eat, change what you eat. And I had some people ask me about that because they thought what was being said is you have to be able to grow all of the food that you eat, meaning I have to go out if I want to eat corn and I want to eat potatoes and I have to have the space to grow all of the corn and potatoes and whatever that I'm going to eat, right? So if you can't grow or raise what you eat, you need to change what you eat. But that's not what it means. It means you need to eat things that can be grown and you need to eat things that can be raised. So if you're taking a look at your diet and what you're eating, and let's say it is mostly ramen and SpaghettiOs and meatballs, you cannot grow ramen. You cannot grow SpaghettiOs and meatballs, right? You cannot grow pizza. Now, we can split hairs and we can say, yeah, you can grow the ingredients for pizza and you can take the time to make it, but I'm talking about all that food that is in the middle aisles of the store, right? The middle aisles of the store, not the outside. Because if you're thinking of your grocery store, like I'm thinking our grocery store right now, it's produce, it's meat, it's dairy. That's the store. And then a little bit of bread on this side. So that's where we try to stick to when we're shopping if we go to the store. So those are the things on the outside that if you've got a garden, if you've got a barn, if you've got the ability to raise and grow your own food, you could grow and raise some of those own things. So the statement, if you can't grow and raise what you eat, change what you eat, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about choose things in your diet, make your diet mostly things that you would be able to grow or would be able to raise if you had the opportunity. That's what that's saying. So I'd love to know what you guys think about that. Is that how you guys try to eat? Are you growing some part of your food? I know that there are people out there that want to grow 100% of what they eat. I think that's really, really difficult for most people. I think if you have the opportunity to grow and raise what you can eat, do it if you can and if you want to. I think it's really hard to do 100%. We do the vast majority of the meat that we eat, but we've worked hard to make that happen. We do chicken, turkey, ducks, pigs, and then the beef that we eat is from a friend that we barter. We raise them a pig every year and they give us half a beef every other year and it works out pretty good. So, and I've already said that our gardens are going to be much more intentional this year about, growing, not just making it an afterthought, like, oh, we'll put these seeds in the ground and hopefully something happens. We're going to be very, very intentional about it this year. So, yeah. So I'm going to go to the comments because we got people talking. We got Double K Hobby Farm and Homestead Life saying good morning. Well, good morning to you. Thank you. We're only going to be here about 10 more minutes, but thank you for showing up. I love it when people come to these chats. Sonny's Place is basically eat real food. Yeah. That's a much simpler way to say it. Yeah. It was just interesting how, we had said that and then there were people like, you're basically telling me that I have to grow all my own food. No. Nope. That's not that's not what I was saying. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, not having all the things available at the store is actually going to help me prepare my kids for some changes I want to make. There you go. I'll be interested to hear what those changes are going to be. Mike says, as Brian from the Lots Project says, there are no Twinkie trees or ho-ho hedges. That's absolutely right. And we can split hairs and we can say, well, you could probably make a homemade version of those, which would obviously be better than what's in the store, but you know what I'm saying. Jokerclee says, sorry I'm late. Amy, 3 scrapping kids this morning, and I'm about ready to plant these kids in a pot and leave them there till they grow up a bit more. Yeah, I hear you. There are days like that. Maybe, do you have weather where you are? Because earlier in the podcast, we were talking about how dogs and kids have been kind of crazy today, and the weather's kind of crazy. It feels like it could storm here, so my dogs were up super early and super crazy. So is that what it is? You got weather coming there? Joker Cleese also says, I want to do some Three Sisters planting this year too, if I can find the room to do it. So that is fun. Is that corn, squash, and someone help me out in the comments? I can't think of what the third thing is. Help me out. Aaron says, Joker Cleese, we did that last year and had a lot of fun with it. I would love to do that. I'm just going to do all the things this year. I'm so glad we got started with our hydroponics. So now we just need to do more. I keep going to, I sing to my plants, you guys. You probably think I'm a big nerd. But I go down and I sing beautiful songs to my lettuce because I hope that it will help them grow better. Mostly because I'm singing all the time. I sing conversations all day long. So when I'm talking about my lettuce, then I just go sing to them as well. But yeah, it's I'm so excited to see what's going to happen. And I ask my husband every day, when can I pick the lettuce? And he just laughs because it's not going to be anytime. I'm like, can I pick it tomorrow? He's like, Amy, you try to pick that tomorrow. So it was beans. It was corn, squash, and beans. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Jessica says, you can make a homemade, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, more coffee. Let me take a drink of coffee so my mouth will work. So Jessica says, you can make a homemade version, but will you? I think sometimes there are some unrealistic expectations. Absolutely. That's such a good point. I wrote a blog post, and I think I called it the Homesteader Diet. And I was talking about how when you decide what you're going to eat, if you have the option, make it the stuff that you have grown and raised. If you don't have that option, make it the stuff that somebody else has grown and raised. If you're going to have a treat, make sure that it's something that you've baked or you've created. Because here's the thing. We say, oh yeah, it would be better if I had an apple pie I made from scratch. But how many of us are going to make an apple pie from scratch? And then you don't eat the apple pie. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I actually love to bake. So I go through phases where I bake a ton, and there's a lot of baked goods in this house. So I love that. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Yes, corn, bean, squash, corn, bean, squash. Everybody's telling me now I will not forget. I can't remember. I can't believe that I could not remember the other one. Kim Hicks says, my goal was to produce our favorite meals. Our list is easy. Spinach, easy. Beef, after the move. Mushrooms, ugh. Beans, easy, easy, easy. Spices, easy. Tomatoes, easy. Yeah. It is good to like sit down and make a list of the stuff that you like to eat. And then figure out what of that can I grow. You don't have to grow it all. Not everybody has that option, but grow what you can. Grow beans are easy to grow, spices are easy to grow, spices, herbs, they don't take up a lot of room. Like grow what you can, because there is nothing like putting something on your plate, whether that is the basil that you're putting on top of your goodies, or it's a tomato, or it's like mayo you made from a duck egg that you collected from your coop. There is nothing. It is so satisfying, and there's a sense of pride that comes with that. And that meal, I'm telling you, is going to nourish you in a way like nothing at the grocery store is going to do for you, even if it's just a tiny little part of what you put on your plate. Yes. Starting to snow now 20 miles north of Alexandria. Well, I don't like that. That's about an hour from where I am, but yeah, it is not like I can't tell what it's doing here. It looks foggy actually, so I'm wondering if that's tiny little bits of snow. I have no idea. I will find out when I go do chores in a little bit. Joker Cleese is pointing at me and saying, regularly makes pies from scratch. You're right, I do. So sometimes. I love to bake. It makes me happy. And I love making food for people. That also makes me happy. So there you go. So we are just about at an hour. It always floors me how fast this time goes. I always have a list of things I want to talk about, and we never even get to half of them. But that's okay. That's okay, because it just means we have stuff to talk about next time, right? So what can I tell you about? Let's see. If you have not subscribed to my Farmish papers, the snail mail newsletter, do that, because I am printing this weekend and then sending out. So if you want to get in on the April issue and you're not subscribed yet, head over to my website, afarmishkindoflife.com. Look in the menu, look for the Farmish papers, and you can get set up with that. What else? Fireside Freedom. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central, we'll be live streaming. I think the topic is going to be about finances. I think. I don't know that it's been completely decided yet, but I think it's gonna be something with finances. Next Thursday, I think Tuesday on my podcast, I'm gonna be talking about chickens, gonna be doing a whole podcast about chickens, and then Thursday, we are having a really great interview with Nate and Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead. We're gonna be talking about ham radio, amateur radio. That is something that I just got into, they are into, and so we had a nice chat, we tried to make it a stupid, simple explanation of ham radio and how it works and what you gotta do if you wanna get into it. And then, next Friday, we'll be having another live chat here at 8 AM Central. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me, you guys. I always enjoy our conversations. We have so much fun. Have a lovely day. I hope the weather holds for you all. Have a great Friday.